welcome on in to our game one of a top eight match between John Birckhead and Eizan for the Omnidextrous Memers Guild. I am Y2 Sky, and I am joined in the booth tonight by Fiery Blizzard. Fiery, how you doing tonight?
I am doing very well. I'm excited to watch this race. I think it'll be a very close and well run match between these two veterans of the free enterprise randomizer. So we'll see what happens. How are you doing tonight?
Doing just fine, yeah, I'm definitely excited for this matchup. It's going to be a good one. I'm expecting a very good series here. Um, I have gotten to see a fair amount of John's practice. He's kind of getting his routing down to an art form at this point. Eisen, also one of our veteran tournament goers. I've seen a couple of his matches, and he likes to kind of throw in some unconventional routing. So as you know, in this format, one or two checks have started deciding races. So it's going to be interesting to see, whether John may kind of deviate from his normal play and make some gambles, or we'll see Eisen kind of catapult to a lead with an unconventional check.
Yeah, that's really the story of this sort of flag set, right? With K Trap, K Moon, and K Main on. And with our objectives being the way they are, it's if someone, say, gets an early darkness crystal relatively early, even if it's an overworld or early enough underground, do you skip to the moon, get your levels with the omnidextrous flag? You're gonna have power. You're gonna have the more than likely have the ability to clear the moon, and that. And even if both players delay the moon until the end, your moon routing will decide everything a lot of the time. So it's going to be interesting to see what checks people fade. Ordeals is a pretty famous one to fade in this flag set. Zot, Baron, uh, in the actual castle itself. But we shall see what this race gives us. Of course, going into this race, a few of the quirks of the flag set is that we do have a random kit. And of course, we're about 1 minute away from these racers starting. So what is your guess on the random kit that we're going to start with?
Let's go 99 crystal swords. Why not?
Okay. I think my guess is going to be a summon kit with Iridia start, but the summon is going to be like a Shura or something like that. This for a little bit of like hope and then sort of disappointment coming on the other side of that. But of course, we are going to start with our Porum. We have a 50% chance of starting with a Porum or a Rosa. Porum is honestly for me, the better of the two, because that gives us our exit spell without having to go up Zod. And that's a pretty big relief, I assume, to both of our runners as well. Because you never want to be wondering, going to the moon, am I going to have exit? Am I going to be warping out 12 times from the bottom of the moon? What's my plan here, right? So I don't know how you feel about that, but that's my sort of take on this. But we do have our racers starting. So let's see what happens.
Yep. Porum gonna kind of smooth out that routing curve a little bit. Joined by her brother Palom. So we've got a twin start. That's pretty exciting on some of our less gear intensive flag sets, but Omnidextrous that can give you kind of a slower start because Palom and Porum not that strong out of the gate with melee. You've really got to find that powerful gear like heroine robes, or black belts to really kind of get them going in the Omni combat style. So it'll be interesting to see what our runners find out of the gate.
Yeah, and the catechit to go along with that, we got our 3 life pots and the Star Veil. But yeah, like you said, let's see what our runners do. I expect both racers to go to Ebling Castle. With that twin, you may be tempted to go up Hobbs, see if we have an edge up there. We are running Distinct 7 with a character selection that is restricted Cecil, Fusoya, and Yang. So an edge can be available at Hobbs, and if you get an edge in Hobbs, taking these trap chests early is definitely on the table. As I mentioned before, it is K-Trap, but we do have vanilla traps on, so we know exactly where the traps are, and we know what's going to be in each of these boxes. So don't expect with this party, unless we get some really, really nice gear like that heroine robe, that we're going to be taking any of the trap chests now, but we'll see.
Yep, definitely looking for. You have to find that heroine robe. A popular look is if you get rune ring or a rune axe or mute knife or anything like that. The Mad Ogre chest suddenly becomes a popular first stop. But both runners right now just doing the standard clear.
Yeah, we did get an interesting item on that right tower, which was that Drain Spear, minus 10 agility in the Omnidextrous flag set. Anyone can wield that. We have no cursed rings, but we don't really need one if you can just equip Drain Spears or Drain Swords or a Dwarf Axe.
Yep, you're the majority of the way to your anchor. Ninja Shirt's kind of one of the more underrated pieces. Ninja Shirt's providing good evasion and pretty decent defense. And again, with that equipment restriction removed, it's a solid pickup.
Yeah, so for the Mad Ogres, I think we need 64 or 63 defense to basically no sell or only do 1 damage even for crits. But we really did not get any weapons worth noting during that entire sequence, so probably still going to be looking for weapons. The Power Spear will be nice for later once we start maxing out on a couple of our stats at higher levels. But we do see our Hobbs play from John. We see Eizan falling right behind. Back row glitch is on, so once you back row a character, they're going to be indefinitely back rowed. But we're going to see our first character check and our boss check. We do have 1 boss hunt in these flag sets with that alt gauntlet. Where do you want it to show up this time?
Don't mind it showing up on Hobbs, although I don't really we don't really have a good way to sweep it at the moment, so it's a little slow. But getting it out of the way early kind of helps with some of the routing decisions. Unfortunately, that's a duplicate Palom. With an antlion taking a vacation from his normal habitat of the moon, back to the blue planet. John's still going to take this fight. I like it. You got the twins. This is still about 4 levels of experience, so you really want to get the level 2 spells online for Palom here.
Yep, both racers getting Comet as a role. A little bit unfortunate, but otherwise should get through this quite well. Flare would have been a bit better. Palom being in that center slot being huge for John here. Just being able to do Bluff Twin and then using Palom's magic rather than Porm's magic. So that made up quite a bit of that difference that we saw in the damage between Eizan and John.
Yep, 4 levels in hand. Let's see where we go next.
As you can expect, Antlion Cave. Some people might want to, might decide to hold off on this until you get exit on a Porum, but certainly a decent play here as well. And Eizan is going to follow just behind as well. So let's find out if our Antlion Cave has any value today.
Yeah, we've got passable weapons, but nothing great. These nice easy checks like this can kind of, if they cough up a spoon or some other better piece of gear, that can kind of give you a much needed boost as you're trying to find your power here.
And we got one of the longer fights for sure with Dr. Luke and Balnab here. Luckily here is not going to be a problem, and it's not going to be too long, just sort of tedious because you have to go through 2 different phases. Also split experience as well. But luckily we got the experience of a Hob, so we shouldn't have any problems here. And we do get a Ninja Star, which is honestly, it's easy enough to back row with a Ninja Star, and 80 power is not too bad.
Yeah, it's just under what I would walk out of Antlion Cave. John and Eizan both with a pretty good agility setup to avoid the dialogue, making good use of the dragon and flame whips looted from Evelyn Castle.
Yeah, the other thing about a Ninja Star too is that the animation is quite a bit longer than most of the other animations in the game. So every time you're using a Ninja Star, you're just going to eat a little bit of time loss, and over the span of, even a few fights, that does add up to multiple seconds. John raising the hovercraft is going to check the waterfall here, doesn't see a sprite in the first spot, knows it's not the Alt Gauntlet, is not interested in figuring out who that boss is. Which is sometimes good information to know, that you're saying, oh, I no longer have to worry about, a certain boss, but it is a time sink to check what boss that is.
Yeah, I do like spending the few seconds in that spot because it does help as the seed materializes to know. So, say you find an Avenger and you kind of just want to keep that on your main damage dealer, not have to worry about taking the time to menu weapon switch, and they start out with that Berserk status. Knowing that your bosses that are bad for Berserk are off the table can sometimes help. So, I like knowing if I'm not going to see a Golbez or a D-Mist or a CPU or whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree. I will generally take a couple of seconds to watch there. John also not interested in seeing what the Miss Cave boss was, didn't see a delay or enough of a delay to signal that the Alt Gauntlet was there, and so just reset out before even seeing it. This Plague on the football defense side, making great use of that Ninja Star, hitting the flying weakness. We do get a Tiara off of the Bedward free check.
Don't hate it. It's an Omnidextrous. Palom does not mind wearing it, so plus 10 wisdom. And look on Eizan's side, we've got an Earth Crystal for that full defense. That could be pretty big, especially if the Heroine Robe is in the treasury, but it is also the first objective key item we found tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to make routing this pretty interesting from Eizan's perspective too, having that Earth Crystal in hand, not only checking the treasury, but it's, routes smoothly here, going through Zot. You got to make a decision once you're up at the Flame Dog. Do you go through the rest of Zot? Check the 2 boss spots there. You get a 3rd boss peak because you get to figure out who is at Dwarf 2 as well. You get 2 character checks that are gated. So it could be your Fu, it could be a Cecil up there. And then it puts you right back by Baron Castle. Meanwhile, we do get another objective item from this overworld at the Tower of Zot, giving us the Twin Harp.
Nice. So two overworld accessible objective checks. This could be one of the seeds of the longer hook route. Sometimes runners try to push for a 25-minute or under pitfall. This might not be the case tonight. We look like we're seeing some early Twin Harp and Earth plays here.
Yeah, it would be kind of funny if all of this is for, they're great, it's objectives, but it'd be kind of funny if, say, the hook is at Mount Ordeals, which I still suspect to be the absolute last thing our runners will check. But we do get this treasury. It's max tier 5. We're obviously hoping for Heroine Robes. The rune axes are not too bad. Neither is the light sword and the extra tiaras. So we got, plenty of magic power, but no Heroine Robes in sight. But honestly, a good amount of tier 5s that is going to increase our weapon power quite a bit.
And doesn't look like Eizan's going to go up Zot just yet. That's definitely a decision point because the Zot 1 spot, or this could be a save at the bottom. Nope, he's taken off. The Zot 1 spot itself has about 9,000 hit points, and that's a fair amount of time if for a hold A style of fight. You really want to have access to Berserk to kind of speed that first fight up. Otherwise, you do end up kind of sitting there for quite a while.
And we are close to Berserk on Eizan's side. Unfortunately, that Golbez might actually ruin that. I'm not entirely sure how much EXP the spot is going to give with that Golbez, and if that's going to be enough to push through Berserk. But good to get Golbez out of the way here. A little bit unfortunate, though. I think this ends up being a 50-50 at this spot. You just need to basically swing to survive, but hopefully you get that swing off. It's a little bit spooky, and John does get that Earth Crystal. We'll see what he does from here as well.
Yeah, Tracker Judge Joe saying in chat, double whip should be fast enough. I'm not sure Eizan has the double whip on the Porum. I know John had that set up. I'm not sure that Eizan does.
Yeah, luckily with just 2 characters, we don't have to watch Shadow demolish anybody. So that's pretty nice. We also know that this isn't going to contain our hook.
Yep, so Palin went first, and unfortunately the virus hit. Porum does get the swing off, though, but not enough.
Yeah, and
Ouch.
the magic power here is not fooling around. John's gonna see this Golbez. We'll see what he does. Golbez being one of those bosses that cannot gate our underground access in this flag set. Golbez, Wyvern, and Val are both considered unsafe bosses, and we do not have the Be Unsafe flag on. So we're not going to get our hook from here. We're not going to get any item that leads to hook. It could still be something like Darkness, or it could be, one part of Forge, or something like that. But it won't be hook. It won't be Magma Key. We haven't really talked about it as K-Force hook as we're going through these dueling Golbez's fight. So that means if we do get a Darkness Crystal on the Overworld, we know that the Magma Key has to come from an underground check somewhere. But we're not going to see the Magma Key on the Overworld. So that might, push one of our runners to take a little bit different route. If we get an early Darkness Crystal, that would be a big gamble to, say, go to the moon early and be like, I think we're going to get, say, like the pan from the moon that's going to turn into the Magma Key. John does get through that Golbez with that Dragon Flame Whip. And then we'll see who that second boss is at the karate spot.
Little French vanilla.
Yep. We got a Mute Dagger here. I feel like this flag set, over a lot of other ones, is how can you exploit your weaknesses, or the boss weaknesses, right? Mute Daggers for these guards, the Rune Axes that Eizan has, will both make quite quick work of these bosses. Just hitting that mage weakness.
Yeah, John kind of playing it safe here, trying to avoid that size shot. Yeah, still only 600 even with that Mute Knife.
Both get through it. Get a tower key.
Well, we definitely like going underground with that. That takes the takes all of the mystery out of the routing when we get past the pitfall.
Yep, it seems to say go directly to Lower Babel, with trap chests being key item spots. That does give us 6 key item checks. At least 4 key item checks guaranteed, just in the way the fill algorithm works, where we will have at least 2 trap chests in the key item pool, all the way up to 6 with some odds thrown in there. So yeah, I expect that once we go through the hook route, that we're gonna immediately bookline to or beeline directly up the Lower Babel. So comment to Joe in chat whether or not Porum learned Berserk for John. I am not sure if Porum reached the level for Berserk.
I don't think I saw it after the Golbez fight, so I'm gonna say no.
We know it's not going to be Bahamut up there, because we know Bahamut is at Baron Castle 1. Eizan, it looks like, is going to go to Ordeals. Definitely a play that some people will make, a couple of people will make, a lot of people will fade. If this hits to something that isn't, say, the hook, where John is going to have to do it eventually, that could potentially be huge for Eizan.
Yeah, this is kind of, as I said, this could be a counterplay. This could also be a, hey, I really don't want to go to that 9,000 hit point spot until I definitely have Berserk. So, but this is kind of what I alluded to at the beginning of the broadcast. So, and we find a D-Mist in the first spot. That's probably one of the better spots you can find it in. Not a lot of hit points to work through.
Not a lot of hit points. no physical whatsoever, lowest physical attack in the game. Not too speedy as well, so shouldn't have any problems here whatsoever. Dispatch this in quick order. That light sword, of course, getting nerfed a little bit here with Demus resistance to holy weapons. But goes down just as well. John is taking his trip into Eblan Castle. I expect this is just to get some levels as well, to then go up Harp into Zot, whether or not he actually goes up Zot or not, but at least to get, say, Exit and Berserk on that Porum before going to the Harp.
Yeah, I think this is John's kind of standard routing preference here is to clear out the Eblan traps before Zot. Zot being definitely one of the longer checks. It is definitely one of the preferred fates for runners.
Eizan is taking the time to learn Leviathan and Sylph on Rydia, choosing, you have a Drain Spear, so anchoring isn't going to be too much of an issue when you have to start sweeping, say, the underground chests. And Leviathan actually is something that would speed up, say, Eblan Trap Chest considerably in this case. For both the Black Hat Lamia chest that we see on John's side and the Staleman and Mad Ogre. Or Staleman and the Skull chest, not the Mad Ogre chest. We have rune axes for the Mad Ogre chest. Or this fight, by being introduced to a car wash, would also be acceptable.
And there is a Burskin Exit on John's Porum, as well as a Rat Tail in his inventory.
Does have enough MP to cast Leviathan. This will go by rather quickly with 3 tiaras on Rydia. I don't think this Baigen's going to survive. Mad Ogres can definitely be a scary fight.
Yep, still hitting pretty hard, but Runex is going to make short work here. John's also perfectly anchored here, too.
That does help considerably. We will see from Eizan whether or not this ordeals pays off with more than just some levels. We get to see the item, then we get to see the boss.
Yep. Do we have a victory lap or do we have a walk of shame? We have another ninja shirt.
And officers and soldiers, because we've already seen Baron Guards. So no real value from Mount Ordeals today. You could get a little bit of salvaging if, say, you go up Zod and the seed is close to forcing us up Harp or up Zot to go underground, because we're sort of running out of checks here. We got this Skull and Staleman chest, and then we got Harp, and then we got Zot. One of those is going to lead the path to the hook. It could be for the Baron Key or something like that. But if there's a Fu on Zot, Ordeals is a very nice place to go because you get to learn those spells, so may even out in the end.
Yeah, John finishing off the Eblan Castle clear, get some experience. I think if we're going to go clear that area, the order is going to be Harp then Zot, I would say.
Oh, I would expect that completely. Harp is an objective, so you're going to be doing it anyways. And Zot is... It wouldn't make too much sense to go up Zot first either way, just because then you're landing right in front of Baron Castle. So...
Definitely not
I would agree.
After clearing Eblan Castle. There is an argument if you really want to push to go Zot and push for characters, but we may not need to do that at all. We've got Quake on Palom, and that is a hook now in John's inventory, so we have our underground access.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if John decides to do Harp now, knowing it's an objective, or if he's gonna just go underground with Quake and Exit. Quake doesn't really help. The big thing about the Harp spot or Cave Magnus is that the magic defense is incredibly high. I think it's 254 unless it's one or two bosses. We've already seen one of those in Dr. Luge who would be immune to all magic. So this is going to be solely a melee Harp here unless I don't think there's anything that would prevent us or require us to use any magic. I think an All Gauntlet might be the only thing, since we've already seen Baiken.
Yeah, and I don't particularly like Quake at the Cave Magnesalt Gauntlet either because of multiple encounters with flying bats.
But that does mean we're going to get a decently early music. Eizan is getting that hook as his first chest. It's interesting to note, if you are thinking about, say, the fill algorithm of traps and key items, it could be tempting to just leave after getting a key item from an area rather than wasting time doing the other chests. With Quake, I don't really see you leaving, but you could.
Now, it's still a little early in the game. I think there's going to be a little bit more thoroughness here. With John finding that hook, I would definitely wager that Zod is completely off the table for him. I think John completes this twin harp looking for either a spoon for a power boost or a pan to start rounding the checks out, or even just another objective key item would be great. But I definitely think John is diving the hook route immediately after this music, which we will stop talking and let y'all hear. And just like that, John is through.
Yep, Octomon not having a good day. Getting some Xenoblade Chronicles music and a Murasame. -5 agility, so if you want more agility subtraction gear, that certainly does cover that portion. It also does give +5 wisdom as well. But yeah, that is second objective done for John. As you said earlier, I expect this to just be going down the hook right at this point. But who knows? We may see some surprises.
Indeed, and looks like John's headed up Zot. Judge Joe made a good point during the music. Yeah, additional party members are needed for that free Quake setup with the trap chests in Sylph Cave and the Fey March. So Zot's still a very good play here. It's either Zot or you poke in Dwarf once you're underground looking for another character, and a lot of times that just does not help.
Yeah, we're gonna see Eizan with that Earth Crystal in hand is gonna check that Flame Dog. Probably gonna do the tower while he's up here as well. Is also gonna collect that harp, so we'll be tied up in key items for objectives. That's nice to see. Not going to be taking that hook immediately underground. Is going to check the Flame Dog beforehand. But yeah, we get three boss checks up here. So see if there are any blue robes. That's just more vanilla. We had French vanilla earlier. Here's our vanilla. Those rune axes that we got from the treasury will certainly come in handy.
Yeah, the rune axes are getting put to good use this evening.
Yeah, why do I feel like we're about to see a Shura Zop 2? Just continue the Runeaxe theme here. Runeaxes and Mute Daggers. Very useful weapons when everyone can equip it, because otherwise we'd be just stuck with a Mute Dagger. And there's that Fu. So we will see, does John, depending on the spells that Fu has, is he going to be at all tempted to go up ordeals to fill out Fu's spell list? Or maybe saying, you know, I have Quake with Palom and 3 Tiaras. Should I just let Fu get spells naturally going through? And we do have a Dark Knight Cecil, so if you do, you know, more incentive to go up ordeals already having a sweeper, not needing to keep Dark Wave as our sweeping option. Both considerable reasons to just go do ordeals.
Yeah, I don't see John doing ordeals before heading underground. I think after this fight here, Hook is next. But it definitely increases the likelihood of kind of hitting ordeals on the way or after that first trip underground.
So I will say the big thing about this Fusoya, one of the more very problematic things that the earlier party without this Fu or DKC had, you know, going down that Hook route, you generally aren't thinking too much with Omnidextrous is like, how am I going to get through it? There's a non-zero chance that Dark Knight Cecil is hanging out at King Queen Evelyn. With the party the way it's set up with Por, Meridia, and Palom, you have no way to get through a Dark Knight Cecil at King Queen Evelyn. You're not surviving the first wave. So that Fu does give us assurance, just in case there happens to be DKC at Hook 1.
Yep. Eizan will have even more hit points in his character's pool because Eizan Cecil is already transformed.
Gonna start with 600 HP. We'll get a slingshot off of this fight too, seeing our resident Nope Rope Danger Noodle with this Ogopogo. Good to see here and not really anywhere else where he can punch a lot harder. Just a Dragon Whip. If you want more Dragon Whips, we've got them all over the place. Will come in useful, you know, in handy against certain bosses and a couple of trap chests on the moon as well. To answer a question in chat, Joe, I do not know if that was Nuke. It could have been Nuke, but I was not paying that close attention to the spells that we were learning on Fu. Judging by the fact that 1400 is not enough to get Nuke, I'm gonna go with probably not.
And a Luca key from the Rat Tail, another thing to chase during the first trip underground.
If it were certain rollers of OMG seeds, I would say congratulations, you have gotten a Baron key, which seemed to like to hang out at Sealed Cave during the A6. John is going to go up ordeals, is going to turn this Cecil into a paladin, is going to get few more spells. And Eizan is taking on this Ogopogo, is casting a Sylph, will heal up, and then eat a Blaze counter, but will heal for more than the Blaze counter, so no real damage done.
Alright, so we're going up ordeals now. Yeah,
you know
looking for the nuke.
Yeah, it's definitely something that will speed up your hook routes if you get nuke. That's you have 25,000 HP to deal with the ruby spot. We've seen all of our free bosses in terms of what can be stoned. We've seen the officer soldiers, the baron guards, the darkens we know are a dwarf too. The Alcohol is not something you generally stone. You might, but quake, depending on the spot. But yeah, we'll get through this ordeals a little bit faster than Eizan, just on the nature of having a bit more levels. Eizan is down a harp. John's clearing this Mount Ordeals. I believe that may have been Nuke at 1500. for Eizan. More importantly about this Fu, has static agility throughout. Will stay at 70 or 20 agility. So your Drain Spear and your Murasame is going to drop Fu to 5 agility, which is great for anchoring purposes, and that Murasame will also give Fu a little bit more magic power back from using that Drain Spear as well. So, you know, Fu definitely going to be a good character in this flag set.
So as John gets through the Baigan, so we've pretty much full cleared the overworld sans Baron Castle here. Conventional wisdom when racing this flag set is you want to fade something. You know, you want to fade something that's a slow check to try to get a leg up on your opponent. What are you thinking here might be the fade as the seed materializes? You just don't touch Baron under any circumstances? Do you maybe skip that Luca key?
It's hard to skip Luca. It's a 1.5-minute walk. You're gonna have warp. I don't think you're fading checking Luca. I think your fade is probably I am not touching Baron under any circumstances. Is really the only one I can really think of. Everything else is pretty fast. You're probably gonna peak Dwarf 1. I kind of doubt you sit through it unless it is Y'all Gauntlet, so that might be your fate of choice. Simply because we know that Dark Imps are in Dwarf 2, so why bother staying after seeing nothing at Dwarf 1?
Yep, seems like fair logic. Did see Eizan get nuke on his Fusoya after killing the Mist Cave boss, and I want to say he's at 1600.
Yeah, that would be correct. So definitely not the 1800 nukes that we're used to, but 1600 is still pretty late, but we do have it before going down the hook route at all. So I don't know if that Fu has stone. There's one encounter certainly along the hook route that we would love to have stone for, being those 4 Mad Ogres, just so that Fu can miss even with 3 tiaras on and a Murasame or something like that. But I don't know if that Fu has stone. We'll probably find out.
Here's an interesting play by Eizan. Eizan heading down into Eblon Cave, not doing the Twin Harp just yet.
Now, that is an interesting choice, knowing there is a possibility that Harp being an objective may also lead to another objective. We know that's not true in this seed's case, but there is quite a few items that would come from that Harp that would give you a pretty big divergence in how you would route the seed. But it's going to pay off. There's nothing really that's going to be gated from that Harp just being that Mura. But it's interesting to route it, I think, in this way.
So we get some Cure 3s in the item shop. Nothing for armor. Blizzard Spear, Ice Brand, and Ogre Axe. We're already covered for axes, but yeah, pickup of a Blizzard Spear. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, what's interesting is the Ogre Axe in particular does hit giants, and the Rune Axes don't. And where that's interesting is, yeah, we can Quake say these the Stalemen that we're gonna hit, just on this hook route. The Mad Ogres are mages, so it works there. The Red Giants on the moon, the Ogre Axe would work really well for that. But other than that, yeah, do you really want to spend the money, the time to buy an Ogre Axe?
Yeah, I think you're pretty well set. Just getting that ice element to handle any rude Kainatsus or the element spot later.
You're gonna see Virus, and then Berserking up Cecil here. Surprised we didn't just see a Leviathan column, but either way, this should get through with, no issue whatsoever. Well, we see another key item from a trap chest. Nope. I don't want to say no to a crystal armor. It does prevent berserk status unless you have an Avenger, but it can very well be useful for cover strats. We do see our 6th unique character here in the Edward. More importantly, though, we do see a blue robe at that ruby spot.
That's a little exciting. That could be a quick pitfall fight if it's a water hag, or it could be our all gauntlet objective.
Yeah, and even if it isn't our all gauntlet objective, that does mean that when we see another blue robe, we know that's going to be the all gauntlet. But I think you got to go into that fight thinking it's the all gauntlet and set up as if it is the all gauntlet just for efficiency's sake, because at least water hag, all you have to do is hold A. I don't know, which one are you hoping for? Are you still hoping for a rude all gauntlet, or do you want it to be the all gauntlet right there, right in our path?
Yeah, let's water hag this. Let's get underground and keep it interesting.
One of my favorite things is to see water hag talking to all gauntlet at the top of tower. So maybe we'll see that. Maybe we'll see blue robe talking to blue robe. Just give even more incentive to go immediately up lower Babel. Leviathan doing quite a bit of work. The power of tiaras going through the magic defense that the Mad Ogres have. And then we're going to see what we're going to have going underground in terms of key items. So it should be a bit interesting as well. We got the Adamant Rock. That is half of Forge. That is certainly important. So right now, entering underground, we are missing the Legend Sword, we are missing the Darkness Crystal, and the Magma Key in terms of our objective items. That's not a lot of items, and the Darkness Crystal has to be through the underground because we've exhausted all other possibilities. Yeah, so I think to your point, you have the Tower Key, you're going to do Lower Babel immediately. What is your play after doing Lower Babel?
I've got a sweeper. I really like doing the Poison Treasury right away, especially if we're able to spike the pan. If we don't spike the pan in the tower, then yeah, maybe go look in the Fame March, maybe do a quick peek in Sealed Cave to see if we can kind of one-trip Sylph. But yeah, I'm looking pretty strongly at that Poison Treasury.
Okay, so that King Queen Evelyn spot where I said DKC would be a problem with our previous party?
It is the little commentator's curse is all.
Yeah, so DKC at King Queen Evelyn is not something you want to see generally. Luckily, it did take a save. This fight shouldn't be too bad. You just need that Fu in slot 2 here to get first action. And then just needs to throw a cure up and we'll be able to get through it. But yeah, if you don't take that trip into Zot, do not take those 2 characters, you are looking at a pretty big wall right here.
Yep. And I think if you were in that situation, I think you have to have the wisdom to just nope out. Go do that character check, but yeah, both runners thankfully have already done that.
Yeah, there is something you could do. You could, turn on encounters, level a little bit, so you're about, 560 on a Porum, and then trying to get your Palom to survive, then cure 3, and then get lucky, then cure 3 again on your slot 3 character. And then with enough luck you get through it, but luckily neither of our racers are really going to have to do those sort of shenanigans. But yeah, definitely potential rudeness there, and as he said, thankfully both of our racers are not going to get stonewalled by that for long. It is being pointed out in chat that we also did have an Edward on the hook route. So if we didn't do Zot, we would have been forced to take that Edward, and then you could have done hide strats with RA1 Edward. And that would have also gotten you through because we do not have the Be No Free flag on, so you just have to survive 3 dark waves, and then you're through. And we do. Ooh. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a gauntlet in our hook route today. So, no boss hunting required. The full gauntlet was in the critical path today.
So my prediction now is that we never even enter Dwarf Castle unless the seed rolls, something unholy where it's just like, the Magma Key and the Legend Sword can't technically chain to one another because they're both terminal items. But, our Darkness Crystal could be there. But that's that is basically the only situation I can see either of our racers touching Dwarf Castle at all.
You're more than likely last locationing Darkness Crystal at Dwarf at that point.
Yeah, just in terms of speed and number of checks you get, every other check is faster. And
we've been up Zot, so we've already seen Dwarf 2. So, and even if you didn't see Gauntlet, there's no reason to go there.
I think I like the Gauntlet in the King Queen Ebon spot a bit more than the one here. I just think it's a little bit more interesting. At least I think the balloons are in the King Queen Ebon spot and not in this one, so this one very much utilizing RA1 Quake strats. We are going to see more RA1 Quake strats.
Yep, the balloons are in the King Queen Ebon spot, and yeah, sadly I have tried quaking them.
Yeah, we do actually see a little bit difference here too, and just a little bit of menuing speed, a little bit of setup, and just RA1 Quake forehead kind of deal. We do have this one last Dragon Egg, and then both our racers will be through and pitfalling around the 44:30 mark.
So you got to think about the racing dynamics here. Obviously our two runners can't see like where they are. So 44 minutes underground. I mean, yeah, the seed has been what it's been, but still, 44 minutes underground is definitely on the slower end for this flag set. As we see a Mylon at the lower Babel spot. What if you're in this spot and you're almost 45 minutes launching the Falcon? Do you feel behind here, or do you think okay, this has just been a weird seed, we've already got 3 objectives, we're fine?
I think in the case of John having done Harp and just having the seed put Harp in Zod and having gone Fabul to Earth, going back and forth in Zod probably feels a little bit bad, but you haven't made any big mistakes. You might be thinking, oh, why did I do that? Why did I do Mount Ordeals? That was a waste of time. Might be a little bit panicking there. It never, as to your point, it never really feels great to pitfall around the 45-minute mark. Although, you, like I said, you haven't really made any big mistakes, so I wouldn't be in panic mode. I would just really, the seed, at least from what it's given you, seems pretty linear. It's sort of feeding you in one direction here, so just play your game.
Yeah. Mitigating factor too is running into that DKC. You hit that DKC, your opponent can't have taken any shortcuts to get through that. If you don't go up Zot, you don't have the characters to get through it. If you don't do Ordeals, Fu might not have the HP to get through it. So that's kind of the DKC there is almost a blessing in disguise at this point.
Yeah, it might be a little bit tempered from having that Edward available if you didn't do Zot, just from the hide strats, but like I said, I don't think there's a reason to panic. for either of these races haven't really made that big a mistake. I mean, Eizan maybe a little bit more, just having that wipe on Golbez is really his big the time loss here. But how much do you really expect? Do you expect, or with a Fu on Zot, do you want to question, oh, you know what, if my opponent likes to fade Zot, and then if you don't do Zot, you don't have Ordeals because you have no reason to go up Ordeals. And then the Edward gives you hide strats for DKC, so that all kind of completes a circle, but I don't think you can really think that way in a race. I know I've heard it before. You can't think that your opponent is playing a perfect race. It just isn't going to happen. So yeah, I think at this point, just for both racers, play your game.
Eizan finding a package in the Fey March had a little trouble with the Warriors chest there. Food didn't quite one-shot the encounter, so one of the Warriors was able to knock Rydia down, but able to recover and get through it. Nothing but an Aegis shield and a package in the Fey March, though.
Yep, and then nothing going for the trap chest in Lower Babel. As you mentioned, there's a form of Mylon at the top of tower here. We do have Fu at 1800, so has all his spells. Should make quick work of whichever form of Mylon is here. And then I expect, we're just going to see our racers sort of circling around one another. Eventually, Eizan does have to take a trip down Cave Magnus. I think there's a possibility Eizan might be starting to get a little bit more worried about what is at that Twin Harp. As he's going to get through this tower and just start seeing Zonk after Zonk after Zonk. So that might factor into what he's thinking, what his next play is going to be as well.
And our lower Babel boss is Mylon and Friends. Not a bad spot for this. The lit ones aren't going to do too much damage. We have multiple sweepers.
Fu gets to cast his favorite spell. And now John is deciding to keep that Rydia down. I mean, Rydia's not going to contribute much right now. It's actually going to be a bit interesting. We have 4 mages and a Cecil in the scene. I don't know. I mean, maybe if the Moon character is, a Sid or a Kane or an Edge, you're probably trading out that Rydia for another Berserker. Because Berserk strats are going to be faster for Zeromus, and you can anchor with Fu. And that's what I would expect. I don't know, how would you sort of approach that? Because you're probably going to see another character on that Moon.
Yeah, it depends on what I would find. If I'm able to, find some strength gear, just gear up Porum or one of the other characters, not worrying too much about it. Maybe, like you said, if I find a Sid or an Edge, maybe.
Yeah, one of the things about Omnidextrous is that characters that don't normally shine do shine. Sid is definitely very endgame viable and Omnidextrous. Yang is very much not a character you really want to see in this particular flag set, just the way his damage calculations work. But like I said, we've seen 6 of the 7 characters already. There's a very good chance that we will get another dupe at the Lunar Dais. So, to all my talk, it's like, do you take a Sid? Do you take an Edge? There is a very, very good chance that we do not see either of those characters. And is going to keep that Rydia down, but we'll see if that Rydia stays down through, say, the Sylph chest. And if this is a key item, which it's not. What's interesting here is it's a bit awkward, right? Because you're going to go through this Fey March, John, and then Eizan going through up tower. is going to have 8 key items at the end of Fey March, which, do you check Luca before checking Sylph? Seeing if you can get to 9 and then try to route it so that you can optimize your EXP going through Sylph.
I'm not too worried about optimizing the EXP. I think just probably make the Luca check while you're down here. The big thing that's kind of hinging this is we haven't seen the pan yet, so I think our runners are still going to try and spike that before we spend our time in the Poison Treasury.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because we don't have, it's looking like there's certainly still no guarantee that we're going to have to go to the moon. And if we have to go past the last storm chest on the giant and the hair dryers on the lunar path, then, why does the EXP and Sylph Poison Treasury side even matter, right? Because you're going to get all the EXP in the world by doing lunar stuff. Whether or not that's lunar altars or the trap chests up there.
Correct, and I think at this point you're looking for the routing efficiency.
Yeah, we are gonna check the sealed cave on John's side. Eizan is finishing up the Mylon and friends up at the top of tower. Very quick check. Well, I say very quick. It's a minute and a half walk. If it's not a key item you need, you just reset out. We know we're not looking for a boss at this point, so just the item at the bottom here is going to be our, our main thing we find. 50-50 odds on that it's the Baron key, because of course.
I've seen Vanilla Darkness a lot this flag set.
All right.
So we've got Eizan heading down the tower. What do you think Eizan's play is going to be? I have seen Eizan go dwarf here, and I think it's about 50-50 odds he does it here too. Just I've seen Eizan try this for counterplays. We didn't hit in the tower. We're at 8 key items. I think maybe alright, gamble that the darkness is there.
Well, so if you're gambling dwarf, you are really hoping that it's not the darkness there. You're hoping that it's the magma key or the legend sword, right? Because if the darkness is there, your opponent is eventually going to get to that. You're probably looking at time neutral, because I can't imagine you're fading Poison Treasury with sweepers, but maybe you gambled that way. So honestly, Darkness Crystal, if Eizan does that play, is probably worst case scenario, other than just it being a zonk. The spoon for John, not going to walk that out. Would have been 9 key items, but too much time investment to get it. Also, would have been by far the best weapon that we have, because we have not seen anything really worthwhile. I think our best weapons are still those rune axes and light swords.
We're seeing John make a play for dwarf.
All right. And we see Eizan actually going for Sylph. I did not expect this, but this is going to be very interesting.
This is kind of flip-flopped on what I expected. So runner's throwing his curveballs here tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting because dwarf does say, it might be a play saying, I think on a check-to-check basis, I am faster than my opponent, and I really do not want to give my opponent this particular out. I do not want to get burned by this check. And this Wyvern, it is Witchburn, but we are unfortunately not going to see what the Witchburn is because we are correctly fast anchored for the spot. It could have been something fun. It could have been like something AoE Breath, which we've seen before in this tournament. But we're not going to see it through John's screen. Maybe if this is Darkness Crystal, maybe we'll see it through Eizan's screen, but we'll find out. Eizan is going to go directly to that Poison Treasury side with this 8 key items in hand. I think 1, 2, 3, yeah, 8 key items. See if that pays off. We are running out of checks on where that darkness crystal can be. John is getting for that Dark Imps. We're going to see what Dwarf Castle gives us. If we have our agility set up correctly, we should be able to get Quakes off before any of these ghosts fire. In almost every single fight, we really shouldn't be seeing any actions given by or taken by the enemy encounter. You can set your battle speed to 3 to make it very safe. You could run buffer into Quake on your menu. There are a couple ways to do this, but with perfect agility anchoring, it's not too difficult.
Our first key item out of the Poison Treasury is the Baron Key.
Do not want. And we do just get a Zonkin Dwarf with a Crystal Gauntlet.
Ouch.
And yeah, there's some MP considerations that have to go on here with this Fu. 190 MP, but really started with very low MP. So neither needs to use an elixir, which hopefully he notices 23 MP is not enough to cast Quake. Does get that Darkness Crystal.
Wow. Baron and Darkness Crystal in the Poison Treasury so far.
And that is 2 key items and 2 checks, and now you have 10 key items. You're pretty happy doing the chests in that order. I cannot imagine ever going to check Baron in this instance. We have 1 key item check in Baron. It's slow. We've already done Zot. Do you really want to commit to another slow check?
Yeah, finding that Darkness Crystal with it, we're definitely not going to Baron, I don't think.
John's also going to go into you have to go to Poison Treasury. That hopefully John recognizes that Palom has 96 MP, is only going to be able to cast Quake 3 times before needing to do needing to refill the MP.
And chat nosing that John had to reset and walk back, take a second walk towards the Poison Treasury. He was still fast anchored.
A little bit unfortunate. Thankfully, did save before going down here. Definitely, there are people who will be confident enough in their run buffering that they will decide that they do not need to save, and then realize a little bit too late that their setup is slightly unfortunate for not saving. So a little bit of a time loss, but honestly not too bad. It's pretty quick to get back here. So hopefully not too upset about that little setback as well.
Oh, and Fu over on Eizan's side was not protected against breath, so loses the Quake cast.
A little bit unfortunate. There are plenty for breath. You just have to be immune to one of the things that that breath will inflict on your character, and then you're immune to everything. A little bit unfortunate that Fu was not wearing any of those items, but is gonna clean this up pretty well. Gets through that no problem after that. So 2 key items already. After you get 2 key items, it becomes realistically significantly less likely that you find a third in the same area. Trap chests are filled basically per area, and at minimum you have 2 trap chests that are in the pool for the key item selection, and then you have 50% odds for a third, 25% chance for a fourth, and so on and so on. So Eizan might be making the play here that I've gotten 2 key items from the back of Sylph. I don't think Toad Lady is going to hold anything. I want to hold off on Sheila 1 until I get the pan. But it looks like is going to go and chase this Baron key. So this is definitely a gamble, almost certainly is a counterplay.
Yeah, it takes the dwarf fade over the Baron fade. So it's be interesting to see if anything comes out for him. John, meanwhile, heading back in, gonna do the Toad Lady chest and set up Sheila 1.
So what is particularly interesting at this point, right, is we are exactly one key item away from go mode. We either need the Legend Sword or we need the Magma Key. Magma Key could be a Baron, Magma Key could be a Toad Lady, Magma Key could be Sheila 1, it could be anywhere on the moon. It could be from a pan that's on the moon. Worst case scenario is that you don't set up Sheila 1, and Sheila has both the Half the Forge and the Magma Key, and you're waiting for Pan that's somewhere deep in the moon. But we do get our complimentary Artemis arrows. I'm sure if we get a pink tail, we will also see another set of Artemis arrows, has been the theme for this tournament. Something that has been lacking in the Poison Treasury or in Sylph as a whole. We are running on T Pro, so our odds of tier 8s are pretty low, but we haven't hit anything in terms of weaponry, from what I can tell. We got a Bahamut orb, and yeah.
And John ended up resetting out of the spoon in Sealed Cave, not wanting to walk that back out, rightly so. So yeah, the weaponry's a little light, but we have lots of spellcasters.
Yeah, John is gonna raise the whale here. It's worth noting that there is, Sheila 1 cannot give us both our go modes in the past, so we're gonna be raising the whale regardless of whether or not we want to. So yeah, go watch this cutscene now, might save, and then go Sheila 1, check it. If it's nothing, then reset. We do see a palette swap here at the Baron Throne with the King Queen Evelyn.
Yeah, a little bit of a throne swap. King Veblen's like, let me see how the Baron chair feels today.
Do you think we're going to see our 7th unique character from this check?
No. The 7th unique character is always on the Giant. And only on the Giant.
We're a little bit away from seeing if that is true. We can also play the game of what you think the statues are going to be, but that's a little bit vague, and there's a lot of options. I like it when I see the statues of it being the 2 bosses you just faced, and your guess was incorrect. We see the other sort of useless character in this flag set. Congratulations, y'all. You had a Thunderclaw at least.
Yeah, Eizan didn't take it, though. Definitely want to try to remember to take that Thunderclaw. I know I've done that, just like, no, Yang, get out of here, and he's got like an Ice Claw or a Thunderclaw.
I thought he did go to the Thunderclaw and chose yes, but maybe not. There's the Vanilla Pan. Do you like more time wasting? Here you go. Here's the Pan at Vanilla. Do you chase it?
And you almost have to.
And there's the Legend Sword for Eizan. That is value at Baron. This seed is absolutely cursed. Eizan is in go mode, just needs to do the harp, then needs to forge, then needs to go to darkness and get the whoever's at K value, walk down the LST, figure out how he's beating Zeromus with this party and no power other than, well, your mage spells.
So we talked about the unconventional plays just looming large, and wow, the Baron trash can had the goods. Unbelievable.
Yep. There is, the out here, the Magma Key could be at Sheila 2. It could be at Hairdryers. I think if it's either one of those 2 spots, it's certainly not over. You're certainly hoping, if you're pulling for John, that the Magma Key is not buried somewhere awful on the moon. It's going to be interesting to see how John routes this. I don't expect John to go to Baron, but I didn't expect John to go to Dwarf, so
Yeah, you
I
never
mean,
know. I never know at this point. Um,
and that's really this sort of tournament in a nutshell, right? For the most part, it's so much based on your routing decisions. What fades you make is just gonna, you have the power. There's nothing really stopping you. It's just sort of get lucky for it. Uh, but we do have
but
a reprisal of music, so.
yes, we do. Enjoy. All right, so as Octomom goes down for the second time tonight, we have John checking the last arm chest, hoping for that magma key.
If not the Magna Key, the pass. I do like this play from John. It's you don't have the pass in hand. If the giant holds value in the Magma Key, or in his case, it could also be the Legend Sword, you're already going to be put right back down to Earth, and then you don't have to worry about the pass because you're going to be ending right at Cave Bahamut. Unfortunately for John, just a Sand Ruby. We only have a couple key items left here in terms of what we don't know: the Magma Key, the Pink Tail, and the Pass. The Pass is not a key item, but we might as well make it one. But yeah, let's, I want to see the hairdryers hold the Magma Key. I want to see this be a very close race, which if it is at the hairdryers, this is going to be incredibly close. More importantly, what is this forge shop going to be, and what is the item? What do you think the item's going to be, Y2 Sky?
Let's go Piggy Sword.
I feel like I could use some scrap metal.
No, unfortunately, Eizan's run is no longer valid. Did not loot the shelf in Coco's bedroom. So, oh well.
I heard you could make it up if you check the secret chest to the right of the staircase. But we do get a Tiger Claw.
Yep. But most importantly, that is objective number 5 for Eizan. Now just has to complete Cape Bahamut to get the crystal. Unfortunately for John, hairdryers just have a ribbon.
So who haven't we seen at K value that could be a problem? It's tempting to say Val, but Val at Cave Bahamut is not an issue, because there's basically no magic defense. There's a little bit of it, but it's not perfect, unlike the rest of the moon. John is making the play to go back to Earth. There's only one check John has not done on Earth. Is this where he goes to Baron Castle? It looks like it is.
And we might have a race here.
He could, because Eizan still has to, figure out how is he going to get through Zeromus, because realistically, the crystal rings are nice, but we still don't have power. We have, you could do 1200 strats, as your sort of strategy here. If you don't want to do any grinds, you take trap chests on the moon. Is Cave Bahamut going to give us something that's actually going to be worthwhile? We have the Dragon Whips to do Bimmy and Jimmy, those being the blue and red dragon, or the two red dragons down the moons. Behemoths are not scary. Again, with Vanilla Trap Chest, we know where all this is, so we're likely to get a significant power up through that way as well. What would you do in this instance? Knowing that you are in go mode, you have Cave Bahamut, assume Cave Bahamut does not give you your answer. How are you preparing for Zeromus?
I usually try to take the behemoths here. I don't have a lot of very powerful weapons. I would give some consideration to the dragon chest, particularly with some of the defensive gear I've got, plus the dragon whips.
So the interesting thing about it is, without the pass, and we know we're not going to get the pass, to me it doesn't make any sense to take the Bahamut so you can trigger on the tiles here in Cave Bahamut, because you might as well just take the behemoths that are in trap chests and get items for your trouble. Right?
That's a good point.
We do also have the Warlock carry chest. You might decide to take the one at the bottom that's on your way, because we do have stone as a cast, and that will instantly kill. If it hits, it should hit, hopefully. But speaking of things that you can just sort of sweep away, here's dolls.
Well, I think we like the setup for this fight.
And there's more dolls. Big doll is not great.
Nope, not at all. Is Rydia going to get the Bahamut cast off? No. He's going to hit the floor.
So this got a little bit scarier, because see if the big dolls come, and it does. This is a lot of HP for big dolls, so a little bit unfortunate that we see this transformation. Mainly because Calbrenna's script is saying, oh, once you deal enough damage to the big doll, it's going to transform back into its little dolls. Luckily, Glance doesn't hit anybody. Don't know if anyone's wearing a headband. We'll see if Cecil can damage enough to skip the big dolls splitting up into little dolls.
John, meanwhile, has discovered he is now in go mode and is going to go forge. This is pretty big, because this little hiccup with the big doll could be John's ticket back to catching up here, because John cast Quake with Palom and is going to have a lot more magic power coming into that fight, and so should just be able to one-shot the encounter.
Yep, and just a white spear from the dolls, that doesn't really solve our problems. I'm not sure if Cecil has enough gear to get to 255 with what we have. So, still might be looking for what exactly is my Zeromus strat. And we got some tiaras and we got some protect rings. Just make Zeromus big bangs, try to limit that as much as possible. But we will see what our strats are going to be going into Zeromus. Do we check, or do we take trap chests? We know we're not going to get a character that's remotely useful from the Lunar Dais. We've already seen the 7. The 2 that we don't have in our party are Edward and Yang. So no help there at all. Yeah, this is certainly because of the lack of power that we've sort of had in the seed, and just the mage heaviness that we've had. Honestly, one of the more interesting races I've seen at the end game. Normally, the end game for these is more, it's how you route it, but then Zeromus is I zerk up 2 people, and I watch Zeromus melt.
Yeah, that's typically the strategy. John's got some pretty impressive levels there. Palom's level 44. Maybe it could look to get Palom to nuke on the way down and have a 2-character triple tiara setup with and just with reflex strats there. I could see that happening.
Yeah, and the dragons, if he decides to take them, roughly 400,000 EXP with the 10 key item, we get our double EXP from those trap chests, so that should get Palm to nuke, and then we have Fu with nuke, and we should be pretty good to go. Both of these racers are well versed in reflex strats, so I wouldn't expect any trouble there as well. But it'll be interesting to see what John does if he feels a little bit behind taking that dwarf castle, and thinking Eizan may have done Baron. If he's like, I need to get to Zeromus now, I cannot waste any time. And it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Meanwhile, we do see Eizan taking on the dragons. Like I said, we have plenty of dragon killing gear, so this shouldn't be particularly difficult either. This has definitely turned into a very exciting race. It's been very exciting from the beginning. But yeah, no, this is going to be very close. I'm looking forward to seeing how this race turns out.
Yeah, it'll come down to what John decides to do here. If he's going to try to grind for a few more levels or just go straight for Z. Some murmuring in chat that he could just go straight for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Ooh, there's an Avenger from the Bimmy and Jimmy chest.
Oh, that's big. That is a big pickup for Eizan.
Absolutely. Judging by the fact that the Dragon Whip is coming off, I'm expecting Eizan to say, yep, we got all the power we need. We're headed directly to Zeromus. No stopping. Thank you for the Avenger, and I will be on my way.
And while our runners are in a foot race, I do want to take time to shout out our wonderful team who's put together an awesome show for us. Plumeria Knight pulling the strings behind the curtains, putting on a fantastic show tonight. Also our tracker Judge Joe pushing the buttons, and of course my co-commentator Fiery Blizzard providing all of the good analysis tonight.
Yeah, I do want to thank you as well, Y2 Sky, for putting up with me in the commentators booth. It's a pleasure to commentate with you. Certainly someone who I've known, for pretty much as long as I've been in the Free Enterprise community, at least. You handed me my first loss in Free Enterprise on the tournament scene, so it's great to commentate with you. We've talked quite a bit as well since then. But we do see Eizan headed to Zeromus. We do start to see some flags showing up in chat, so I mean, yeah, it's getting pretty late. It's 11 p.m. I like taking naps. Don't you?
Yeah, it's the flags are showing me that it's past my bedtime, right?
100%. We're all pretty old, right? So, but I don't think that's what these Zeromus flags or Z flags are for in chat. So, remind me what these are about.
All right, so we randomize a lot of things about Final Fantasy IV in Free Enterprise. However, one thing we do not randomize is the location of Zeromus. Big Bangs are just too strong, too powerful, and a 2,000 point attack in Antlion Cave would just feel too bad. So instead, we randomize Zeromus' sprite. And the Z flags with the question mark mean that we ask the all-important query, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
And several other supplementary questions, such as, is it cute? Can it do our taxes? We're a little bit early on that. If it can, I'll be in contact with him in, a couple months. Does it have a hat?
Does it have a hat? Yes.
We shall find out once this crystal is thrown. We're going to see how Eizan approaches this Zeromus fight. John is just behind. Eizan is getting to that Zeromus right now, dueling Zeromuses. That is what I like to see. Both of these racers are definitely putting a show for us. Would not expect anything less from top 8. And of course, we have Genova from Final Fantasy VII on the screen tonight for our butt-kicking pleasure.
Very apropos with a certain remake on its way again for the new year.
So we do see Double Zerkers probably not wanting to see that nuke on that Porum. You know, certainly not ideal, but we do have that nerf out. This, unfortunately, now we just have one Zerker going. So, see how Eizan handles this. Let's see what the strat is for John on his side. It's also going to be berserking. Cecil here.
Yeah, John doesn't have an Avenger, so is gonna have to do straight zerking. Let's see what he supplements with. Gonna do a direct nuke for the nerf. Forum back up on Eizan's side.
Forum being taken out by both. Oh, that was an extremely low roll on that counter nuke. For that Porum is certainly wearing some gear to avoid getting 2,000 plus damage, getting some of those evade rolls here. Looks like we're going to get some hybrid strats from John, set up that Star Veil on Palom, whereas Eizan is looking to just do dual Zerk strats. With that Porum going down, we are seeing that second Big Bang. I did not watch to see if this is nerfed or not. It was not, but Fu does survive. Black Hole is maybe coming out if he's done enough damage. We'll see it. It shouldn't affect too much on because we have the Avenger on. But it looks like no, we didn't tip because we don't see that black hole. You get that shake immediately. This is where it gets scary, right? This Big Bang coming out is gonna also be unnerfed.
Yep. Not getting the other characters back up. Eizan just gonna try and duo this to the finish.
But Fu needs to survive. Does survive with plenty of HP left. Is more than likely seeing the black hole now. And then, well, it might just be power couple strats for Eizan. The unconventional power couple, the Lunarian power couple.
Meanwhile, John getting damage out with hybrid strats. Palom with Ice 3, Fu with Nuke. This is going to be close.
Yeah, that counter nuke or that direct nuke going right into Fusoya is actually out of MP after this Cure 3, I think. Yeah, very, very close. That may have been the meteor tip on Eizan's side. Cannot tell.
Oh, that's a shake.
There it is. There is the meteor tip. There's an unnerfed Big Bang on John's side. We have less than 12,000 HP left in Genova. Genova is going down. That is Eizan finishing up with a race, or a official race spot time.
All right, so we definitely have a finish close enough to where we might have an announcement here.
Y'all had one directive, and that was not to tie. And yet here I am in a race room. Hi, I'm Allie. I am one of the workshop helpers if you've never met me. Yeah, so we've got two runners that are within 10 seconds. Based on our current rules, less than 10 seconds will be a retime, which our wonderful NCAs will take care of post-race. But yeah, we will go through, make sure, of course, with RaceBot, with the RaceBot, we want to make sure everybody started their timers on time, everybody hit start on time, all of that. So we will have the results of that probably in the next few hours. But I think we do have somebody waiting for an interview, so I will hop out.
Yeah, it's worth noting the restream delays between both sides. John was slightly ahead, at least in the terms of the RaceBot time, with a 1:24.59, and Eizan with a 1:25.04. But yes, we will absolutely have a read time, and the results will be posted, I am sure, on the FE Discord. But really,
wow, what a finish though. GG, yeah, GG to both runners. Amazing race. Very heads up plays, and we're joined by John Birckhead. John, GG, a heck of a race, man.
I need a drink. I need 12 drinks. I need 2 drinks tied together is what I need. Oh my god.
Oh
better be
my
careful.
goodness.
I think Ali might take them from you, though.
Yeah. GG's to Eizan. That was, I typed in my dot done ahead of time, and at the same time, Eizan is like, "Oh baby, here we go." Like, oh no. And that Z fight was something else too. So GG's to Eizan.
I want to be called. I don't want to be on it all.
I don't think I'm in a mental state to watch this back just yet, but I'm sure it must have been something to watch.
It definitely was. So I got to tell you, y'all were throwing us curveballs. I kind of commented before the beginning of the race. You've kind of got your routing down to a science, and Eiza's been the one to throw curveballs. But I tell you, both of you did some stuff that was kind of unexpected. The big one, obviously, was once you zonked on the last arm and the hair dryers, you immediately turned back around and went Baron. What's your routing strategy for that turnaround and hitting Baron, despite not really even fading anything on the blue planet?
Well, that's it. I didn't fade anything. Like something has to hit. How many of these have we seen where the moon is haunted, and it's like I got 2 different ways for Gomo, between Magma Key and Legend Sword, and K-Main is higher than K-Moon, and I've already done everything, so let's just I don't know, let's just keep on doing everything. It's become canon at this point to kind of use the whale to take a hot second to think, like, all right, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And last arm's an easy decision, especially with Gauntlet already having been found. I really don't want to do the double transition for to go back to Baron with the moon, so I figure I'd save Scum it, and then just kind of figure out what on earth I'm going to do moon routing wise. It felt like something had to eventually hit. I felt it in what's little left of my soul, and sure enough, the Legend Sword was there at Baron.
Going back earlier to that seed, how happy are you that you took the Zot for that Fu and the Cecil, and then running into, say, Dark Knight Cecil at King Queen Evelyn?
I was feeling. It was a party of potatoes, and key item. I was like, I wonder if this is going to be like big, and obviously you could buy them later. But that one Cure 3 could have been huge. But yeah, that DKC there is terrible, and all the other checks almost made it worth it.
Definitely. So definitely a close race. If the race bot times hold, you will be up a game, but that is that's officially that is still an if. Mm-hmm. That being said, does your thought process or your strategy kind of change for game 2? Do you have any adjustments you want to make, or just keep rolling with the seed?
I might have to be a little more aggressive here. I definitely let fear kind of dictate the way that I played today. And you can't do that. Yeah, I mean, you just very simply can't do that. Look, look what happened. Look where we're at. The routing wise, the early game, I kind of have I have like an outline as to what I'd like to do. But I was actually pretty happy with how I was able to go ahead and kind of adjust on the fly. I felt pretty good about execution, agility, manipulation, and kind of reading the seed and getting Quake, getting Berserk, being able to go ahead and do things. But it was just too much. I just did too much. And when you do that, you either have to get A, lucky, which I did, or B, have no execution arrows. Every time you miss a landing, that's 5 seconds. I did it twice. I wasn't anchored going into Sylph Cave. Was that 45 seconds? And it doesn't sound like much, but look what happened. We're at the moment 5.5 seconds apart. So I might need to dial up the aggression a little bit, not play scared and just go.
I mean, I will say, despite those couple of hiccups, I thought you ran an excellent race. Really, I mean, it was greatly entertaining. I thought you played extremely well. So, I mean, it was great to watch your play and you versus Eizan. And I expect this to be, a close match. It's top 8. You both deserve to be in the top 8. So I wish both you and Eizan luck for, game 2, game 3, and, let's not call game 4 yet. We'll see what the retime does, but best of luck to you in game 2. Do you know when game 2 is going to be?
Game 2/game 1A is going to be same time tomorrow night. Eizan's had a ridiculous work schedule, and this is my week with my daughter. And he has been incredibly gracious and kind and flexible with his scheduling. So we haven't figured out game 3 and 4 TM just yet. Let's finish getting through tonight. Let me go get some Pepto-Bismol. We'll race tomorrow, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, cheers from that too. Y2 Sky, do you have any last questions? I mean, I know you've been asking questions, but I think for me, again, thank you for putting on the race. So, Y2 Sky, if you wanted to ask one last question or not.
No, I think I'm good. GG, John. Heck of a race, and definitely looking forward to the rest of the series.
Thank you, sir. GG's again to Eizan. Founders guy, thank you so much for comms. Mary, first time doing Restream, and I think I'm going to be joining that soon. So thank you so much for all that you do. I'm so sorry to. As soon as that we finished, got a text from Possum. He's like, "Really, you're going to make him do work on his first one?" I'm like, I'm sorry. And it looks like maybe Joker doing Jack for us. Either way, thanks for watching. I think we have an amazing race that we're probably heading off to, and I'm going to try to get some sleep once my heart calms down.
Well, GG's again, John.
All right, take care, everybody. Good night.
So I believe Eizan is not going to be able to join us for an interview, has his hectic schedule, so unfortunate, but definitely runner's prerogative to decline an interview, especially if they've had an exhausting day. Not that you need an excuse. So Y2 Sky, I mean, I enjoyed that race, but we still have free enterprise community here. Where are we going to send them off?
I believe we're going to be rating free enterprise 2 for I believe Coffee and Chocobos versus Possum Morpheus game 2. So as we send you all over, please make sure you do not spoil the outcome of this race for any viewers on Freeing 2 that may have not watched this one. And be on the lookout for the retime announcement to see the results. And thanks for watching.